Welcome everyone to the Vatican Hotel in Jerusalem. It's been a great experience in here, pilgrimaging with the St. Peter's group. And I'm just here to share with you my vocation testimony. It began really when I was in junior high. I was about grade 9. And some priests had actually asked me to go to a Benedictine monastery for high school. And at that time, it was a little bit crazy because I had a lot of friends. I was on the basketball team. And I had video games and everything I kind of really wanted. But something really intrigued me about that invitation. And so I went to go check it out, and I just loved the place. And it really, today, it still strikes me why I went there. Because when you go to that monastery, I went there from grade 10 to grade 12, you had to wake up at 5:45 every day, go to Mass at 6:30. There's no chips, no TV, no video games. And it was just a different experience, but I knew there was something special about that place because I think even though I had all those things that I wanted in my junior high years, I felt that there was something missing in my life, that I was hungry for something more, but I didn't know what. Anyway, so I left everything and I went to go to that school. And in the first year, it was amazing, just experiencing everything, being there, living with other guys in the dormitory, learning from the Benedictine monks who were there, playing sports all the time, and just going to daily Mass and praying a lot more than I'd normally been. In the winter, after I'd come back from Christmas, I went to this retreat, and in that retreat, that's when God really caught me. That's when He kind of really spoke to my heart. I didn't really go to this school to become a priest, but in that moment, that's when I really experienced God's personal call for me. And He was speaking through another speaker. This monk was giving a retreat, and he just said something, and it really struck me. He said something like this. He said, "When a man loves a woman, he gives her flowers." And just that simple statement just really struck me. And I just thought about how much God loved me and how much He loved me through my family. Because at that point, I was a really selfish guy. And so seeing how selfish I was and seeing how loving my parents, and especially my brothers and sisters, were to me, I really saw God's love shining through them. And it was an amazing experience. And for the first time, I felt like I was really free, like I could really breathe, like I felt like my heart was surrounded by thorns previously to that. And after that moment, I felt like I could breathe for the first time. And the first words I drew from the breath that I took was, "I want to be a priest." And so after that moment, I kind of continued high school. And when I reached grade 12, I figured, I should probably do something with my life. And so I decided I should join the seminary. And I decided to join the Diocese of Calgary. And so I joined the Diocese of Calgary. I went to London, Ontario, and did my studies there at St. Peter's Seminary. And when I was there, it was great. But after 4 years of studying, 3 years in philosophy, 1 year theology, I felt like I was hitting a glass ceiling. So I wasn't sure what was going on. I really wanted to be a priest, but I felt like I wasn't able to continue growing. I felt like I was not able to commit in a greater way to that. And so I actually left the seminary. And so when I left the seminary, it was a heartbreaking decision because I'd been in seminary for almost 7 years at that point, 3 years in high school and 4 years in university. And then I decided to go do some construction. And when I started that, I found, I wasn't really happy with that. I wanted to do something with my mind. And so I started doing more. I started working in the bank. I started working as a financial sales, as a teller. And then I moved up to a financial sales representative position, being able to sell stocks and credit cards and all those things as well. And I became good at those things, but in my heart, I knew that wasn't what I wanted as well. And so I eventually got an education degree. And as I was studying for my education degree, there was one moment at that point there where I remember finishing class and just walking away across the university station towards my car. And I knew that there was a God Squad conference. I heard something about this. I've never been there, but I heard about this God Squad conference. And as I was walking away from the university station, I was like, I don't know if I really want to go. I don't want to pay the $50 to go and stuff. But anyways, as I was walking, I felt my feet pointing towards that direction, pointing towards St. Luke's, because that's where it was. And I felt like I was kind of like naturally walking there. So I kind of followed the inspiration. I got in my car and I drove to St. Luke's. And when I got to God Squad, I was listening to the speaker there, and his name was Doug Barry. And he was this super jacked guy, and he was wearing military pants. And it was really awesome talk, and he was just talking about, what it means to be a Christian man and all these things. And just like that other speaker and how God spoke to me through him, God was able to use Doug Barry and to speak through him. And at this point, I don't remember exactly what he was saying at all. I just remember he was speaking, and just a man who was convicted. But in a way, at that moment, I was kind of transported into a boat. I saw myself in this boat. It was raining, and it was kind of swaying in the darkness. And then all of a sudden, I could see this man walking on the water towards me. And then as it became clearer and clearer, I could see it was Jesus. And he extended out his hand to me. And at this point, I didn't think I was called to the priesthood at all. I actually thought, I was moving on with my life and getting an education degree, becoming a teacher. But at this point, I could hear Jesus almost speak to my heart, not audibly, but I could just know what he was saying. He was saying, Troy, I want you to be a priest. And I know it's going to feel like walking on water, but you got to keep your eyes on me. And after that experience, I was just shook. I didn't know what happened, and I just kind of left from that experience not sure how to interpret it. And so eventually I was like, I don't think that was actually real. It wasn't really anything. Anyways, months went by later, and as I was getting closer to finishing my education degree, I was like, something was tugging on my heart, and it was saying, Troy, you got to really look into this. And so I decided, all right, God, I'm going to give you one more chance. If you're really calling me to do this, let me know. And so I decided in September a couple months later after that God Squad conference, to really look into this, to discern this more deeply. I took some time to discern it. I decided I would take 30 days to discern this call. And so for the first 2 weeks, I thought about the priesthood. I went to daily mass, doing my breviary and just praying, and I felt a deep sense of peace. And then for the next 2 weeks, I imagined what it would be like if I was married, if I had a wife and kids, and how my life would be like. And it was okay. It wasn't the same peace that I had when I was thinking about the priesthood. But in the first 2 weeks, I said to God, well, God, God, if you're calling me, give me a sign. Let me know how you're calling me. And so I gave him a very specific sign. I said, Lord, you got to let me know this. And I think the best way is a simple sign. Get someone to tell me that they think I would be a good priest. Not just one person, but 2 people. Just so that one's off by chance, and 2 is like, I think that's more. Anyways, so I prayed that, and then I forgot about it. And then, as the weeks passed by, I went to my cousin's house, and he was there we had a housewarming party for him. And then as I was in the house, I saw this priest there I hadn't seen for a long time. He's a priest who knew me when I was in London, Ontario, studying at St. Peter's. Anyways, I was having dinner. Finally, the priest and I wanted to go talk, and he wanted to go talk on the deck. And he started asking me some questions, like, hey, how's everything going? And he said, so, are you still single? I'm like, yeah, I'm still single. He's like, oh, that's really weird. I'm like, I don't know what's weird about that. And then he started asking me some more things about what's going on in my life. And then eventually came to the point he said this. He said, when I heard that you left seminary, I was really sad because I thought you'd be a good priest. And when he said that, instantly that prayer I prayed 2 weeks before came to my mind, and I almost started crying at that moment. And then I was like, oh my gosh, is this actually happening right here, right now? And then eventually my friends, they came in. I don't know how they knew my cousin, but they came in, and then they didn't know anyone else. And so they came and sat out with the priest and myself. And as we were sitting there, my friends were asking the priest, hey, what were you guys talking about? Like, and how things were going. They were asking me also about, and the priest started mentioning, hey, we were talking about like how we thought Troy would be a good priest. And then my friend said, yeah, we heard from some other priests as well that they thought he would have been a good priest as well. And so right away I knew, man, that's like 2 people. And guess what, too? It was actually the last day of the last month that I decided to discern my vocation. And so when I went to spiritual direction later on that week, I knew God was calling me back. It was very clear before, but He made it even more clear to me because I was so stubborn. And so I felt a lot of fear going back to that to going to discern that call. But when I went back to the seminary, I felt a peace I've never experienced before, and just a sense of wholeness. And now as a deacon, looking forward to being ordained as a priest sometime this year or in the future. I'm just excited, and I'm just happy where God has called me to be. And I'm so thankful to God Squad and the conference and being part of my journey and helping me get me to be where I am today. And so I just want to say a plug for God Squad. It's happening this year, March 15th and 16th at St. Peter's Parish. So I hope to see you all there. There'll be some amazing speakers, and it'll be a great time, and hopefully God will have a special call for you there as well. God bless.
That's good enough.